In the world of numismatics, where every small detail can make a massive difference, one coin stands out as both mysterious and immensely valuable: the 1964 Jefferson Nickel error coin. At first glance, it looks just like any other 5-cent piece that millions of Americans used every day. You might even have handled one of these coins before, never realizing what you were holding. But hidden among the ordinary nickels from that year is a rare and astonishing error that transformed a simple piece of change into a collector's dream, worth tens of thousands of dollars. Imagine finding a coin in your drawer or an old jar that could be valued anywhere between $66,520 and $148,500. That's the fascinating story behind the 1964 Jefferson Nickel error coin. To truly understand why this particular coin is so special, we have to go back to the early 1960s. The United States Mint was under immense pressure. Coin shortages were sweeping across the nation as vending machines, payphones, and new coin-operated systems demanded an enormous supply of nickels, dimes, and quarters. The mint had to keep up with the growing demand, and 1964 was one of its busiest years. Billions of Jefferson nickels were struck that year. A coin series first introduced in 1938 featuring the third U.S. president, Thomas Jefferson, designed by Felix Schlag. But 1964 was also a turning point. The silver shortage that hit the mint during that decade forced major changes in the nation's coinage. Although the nickel didn't contain silver like dimes and quarters, the rush to produce coins led to mistakes. Dies, the metal stamps that imprint the coin's design, wore out faster, replacements were rushed, and quality control became a challenge. Under such intense pressure, several remarkable minting errors slipped through unnoticed, and among them were a few 1964 Jefferson nickels with unique features that would one day shock collectors. One of the most famous errors linked to the 1964 Jefferson nickel is the 1964 Special Mint Set Strike, or SMS nickel. At the time, no official record of special mint sets for 1964 existed. They were believed to have been discontinued after 1964 due to the changeover to clad coins. Yet, decades later, a small number of beautifully struck 1964 nickels surfaced that didn't look like any regular circulation coins. These coins had an unusual satin finish, sharp details, and exceptional quality, characteristics typically reserved for special mint issues or presentation pieces. The surfaces were smoother, the steps of Monticello on the reverse were crisply defined, and the strike quality was far superior to anything produced for circulation that year. For years, collectors debated how these coins came into existence. Were they test strikes for the new 1965 special mint sets? Were they specially prepared pieces for mint officials? Or perhaps even experimental prototypes that accidentally escaped into the public? The truth remains uncertain, but one thing is undeniable: these coins are exceptionally rare and valuable. The difference between an ordinary 1964 nickel and one of these elusive error or special strike pieces is astonishing. A typical 1964 nickel might be worth only a few cents, but a true error or SMS version can fetch incredible prices at auction. When one of these coins appears on the market, it draws attention from collectors around the world. Depending on its condition, provenance, and whether experts confirm it as a genuine special mint set example or an extraordinary die error, the value can soar from $66,520 to as much as $148,500. It's the kind of discovery that turns everyday pocket change into a treasure. What makes this story even more compelling is the detail hidden in the coin's design. The obverse side features Jefferson's portrait facing left, his dignified expression, and the word liberty, followed by the date, 1964. The reverse showcases his iconic home, Monticello, with the inscriptions E Pluribus Unum, United States of America, and 5 cents. On normal 1964 nickels, these details are often soft or slightly worn, especially in circulated examples. But the rare special strikes are different. Their features are sharp, deeply defined, and almost mirror-like. The steps of Monticello, in particular, are crisp and distinct, a hallmark that experienced collectors look for. Another interesting twist in the story of the 1964 Jefferson nickel comes from transitional errors, coins struck using dies or planchets from different years or compositions. Because 1964 marked a critical transitional phase in U.S. coin production, the possibility of mix-ups was high. In some cases, Coins from late 1964 were struck with dies intended for 1965, or on leftover planchets from earlier years. These hybrid pieces can exhibit unique anomalies such as doubled dies, missing mint marks, or unusual metallic tones. Each of these factors adds layers to the coin's rarity and intrigue. The most dedicated collectors know that confirming an authentic 1964 SMS or major error nickel requires expert evaluation. Professional grading services like the Professional Coin Grading Service, PCGS, and the Numismatic Guarantee Company, NGC, have authenticated only a handful of genuine examples. Their populations are so low that when one surfaces, it becomes a headline in the numismatic world. The coins are encapsulated in secure holders and given special designations, making them prized possessions for advanced collectors. But beyond the technical side, there's a human element to this story that captures people's imaginations. It's the thrill of discovery, the idea that something valuable might be hiding in plain sight. Many of the 1964 nickels still circulate in jars, boxes, and old drawers across America. Every time someone decides to look through their spare change, there's a spark of hope that maybe, just maybe, one of these rare coins could be waiting there. And when you consider the possibility that one of these small, shiny 5-cent pieces could be worth over $100,000, it's no wonder coin hunting has become a passion for so many. Collectors often share stories of finding unusual 1964 nickels in inherited coin collections or old bank rolls. These discoveries reignite fascination with the Jefferson Nickel series and with U.S. coinage in general. The hunt becomes about more than just money, it's about connection. Each coin carries a piece of history, a snapshot of the nation's economy, art, and craftsmanship at a particular moment in time. The 1964 nickel represents a period of transition and challenge in American minting, making its errors even more symbolic and meaningful. Imagine stumbling across a 1964 nickel in pristine, uncirculated condition, a coin that has somehow escaped the wear of decades. At first, it might not seem like much, but then you notice something different. The luster looks unusual, the strike sharper, the lettering cleaner. You take a closer look, maybe even compare it to other nickels, and that's when it hits you. This could be one of the rare 1964 SMS or error nickels. You send it for grading, the results come back, and suddenly your ordinary coin turns into a piece of history worth $66,520 to $148,500. That's not just luck. That's once-in-a-lifetime discovery. What's beautiful about this story is that it keeps the spirit of coin collecting alive. The curiosity, the patience, and the hope that something extraordinary might be hiding in the most ordinary of places. It reminds us that mistakes, even in something as structured as minting coins, can create something unexpectedly wonderful. Every scratch, every mark, every slight variation in a coin can tell a story of human craftsmanship and imperfection that somehow adds even more value. The 1964 Jefferson Nickel error coin is a perfect example of how history, mystery, and chance can combine into something remarkable. It shows that even during times of pressure and change, beauty and rarity can emerge by accident. Whether it's an undiscovered double die, a special mint strike, or a transitional anomaly, each variation contributes to the legend of this iconic coin. So the next time you come across a nickel from 1964, take a moment to really look at it. Tilt it under the light, check the steps on Monticello, observe the shine, the texture, the strike. Because somewhere out there, among billions of ordinary nickels, a rare masterpiece could still be waiting to be found. And if you're lucky enough to hold one of those rare errors in your hand, you won't just be holding 5 cents. You'll be holding a piece of American history, a coin whose story is worth far more than its face value. In fact, it could be worth a staggering $66,520 to $148,500, depending on its quality and rarity. It's incredible to think that something so small, something so easily overlooked, can hold such immense value. That's the wonder of coin collecting. It's not just about metal or money. It's about discovery, history, and the surprises that time leaves behind. The 1964 Jefferson Nickel reminds us that even in a world of billions, a few rare treasures still exist, waiting for the right eyes to find them. The 1999 Jefferson Nickel, at first glance, looks like any other coin you might find in your pocket change. It's small, silver-toned, and has the familiar face of Thomas Jefferson on one side and his grand home, Monticello, on the other. Yet, hidden among the millions of these coins minted in that final year before the new millennium lies something truly special. A rare minting error that has transformed a simple 5-cent piece into a collector's dream. Some of these rare 1999 Jefferson Nickel error coins have been sold for jaw-dropping amounts, ranging anywhere from $48,300 to $128,500, depending on their type and condition. And what makes them even more fascinating is how ordinary they look until you take a closer, more careful look. In 1999, the U.S. Mint was running at full speed. America was approaching the year 2000, and the excitement of a new century was everywhere. The Jefferson Nickel had been in production since 1938, a tribute to one of America's most influential founding fathers. Designed by Felix Schlag, the coin had stood the test of time, featuring Jefferson's left-facing portrait and the elegant depiction of Monticello on the reverse. But even with decades of experience, mistakes still managed to slip through the minting process, and when they did, they created history. The error that occurred in some 1999 Jefferson Nickels is one that continues to intrigue collectors to this day. Among the varieties found, the most sought after is the 1999 double die and the off-center strike. The double die error happens when the design on the die, used to stamp the coin, is impressed twice but slightly misaligned. The result is a subtle doubling effect that appears on parts of the coin's design, most noticeably around Jefferson's eye, the inscriptions "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and sometimes on the date. For an untrained eye, it might look like a slight blur, but to collectors, this is a clear and valuable sign of a double die. Then there's the off-center strike error, where the coin blank isn't perfectly positioned between the dies during the striking process. The design ends up being shifted to one side, leaving part of the coin blank and part of it imprinted incorrectly. Depending on how off-center it is, the coin can look dramatically different. Sometimes up to 50% or more of the design is missing. The rarer and more visually striking the error, the higher the value. Some of these dramatic off-center 1999 nickels are among those that have brought prices well above $48,300 at auctions. It's hard to believe such mistakes can escape the eyes of the highly automated and precise minting systems of the U.S. Mint. But that's what makes these coins so special. Each one is a result of a small but impactful mechanical misalignment. And because such errors are incredibly rare in modern times, collectors are willing to pay a premium. Even small imperfections from that year can draw significant attention, especially if the coin is in pristine condition. Condition is everything when it comes to coin collecting. Experts grade coins based on their state of preservation, using a scale from 1 to 70, with 70 being a perfect, mint-state coin. The difference between a circulated and an uncirculated 1999 error nickel can be tens of thousands of dollars. A slightly worn piece might fetch a few $1,000s, but one that has never entered circulation, showing a flawless surface, clear doubling, or a striking off-center pattern, could easily command over $100,000, especially at high-profile auctions. To appreciate why the 1999 Jefferson Nickel error holds so much allure, it's important to understand the historical significance of the design itself. By 1999, the Jefferson Nickel had already been in circulation for over 60 years with minimal changes. It was one of the last coins in the U.S. to still carry its original mid-20th century design. That made any rare variety from that era a bridge between the old and new generations of coinage. Within a few short years, the Mint would overhaul the nickel's design entirely, introducing new depictions of Jefferson in 2004 and 2005. This means the 1999 error nickel sits at the end of an iconic chapter in American coin history. Its value is not only monetary but symbolic. Imagine coming across one of these coins today. Maybe it's in an old jar of change, tucked away in a drawer, or hiding in a box of coins handed down through family. To the average person, it's just a 5-cent piece. But to someone with an eye for detail, it could be the discovery of a lifetime. Collectors and treasure hunters alike share stories of finding rare coins in the most unexpected places. Pocket change from the grocery store, a forgotten coin roll from the bank, or even a flea market purchase. When they spot those subtle imperfections, a closer look often reveals the difference between ordinary and extraordinary. What makes these finds even more thrilling is that error coins like the 1999 nickel are not deliberately created. They are the result of pure accident. No two are exactly alike. Each one carries a unique pattern of doubling, shifting, or misalignment that can't be replicated. In that way, each coin becomes a one-of-a-kind piece of art formed by chance. It's a blend of history, science, and luck that gives the coin an appeal beyond its face value. Collectors are always on the hunt for these elusive errors, and the 1999 Jefferson Nickel has become one of those modern treasures that continues to excite the hobby. Online coin communities often light up when someone posts a photo of what looks like a 1999 double die or off-center nickel, sparking debates and discussions about authenticity and potential value. It's not uncommon for experts to weigh in and confirm that the coin is indeed genuine, leading to appraisals that astonish the original finder. There's a certain romanticism about how these small mistakes turn into major fortunes. A coin meant to be worth just 5 cents can suddenly become worth tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars simply because of how it was struck. And it's not just about the money. It's about the story each coin tells. The 1999 Jefferson Nickel error represents a moment in minting history when perfection slipped just slightly, leaving behind a beautiful flaw. The value of these coins also grows with time. As collectors acquire and hold onto them, the number of known examples decreases in the market, pushing prices upward. Auction records show a clear trend. Each time one of these rare 1,999 error nickel surfaces, the bidding wars are fierce. Depending on the specific type of error and the coin's condition, the final hammer price can range anywhere from $48,300 to $128,500. Those who own one of these rare specimens often treat it as a prized possession, knowing its rarity will only become more valuable in the years to come. The appeal isn't limited to experienced numismatists. Everyday people who stumble across these coins often find themselves diving headfirst into the world of coin collecting. It's easy to see why. The possibility that something as small and overlooked as a nickel could hold life-changing value taps into a universal sense of curiosity and wonder. Every time you find an older coin in circulation, you can't help but wonder, could this be the one? It's also worth noting that the Jefferson Nickel has long been a favorite for collectors because of its rich history and design continuity. The 1999 errors represent the final full year before design changes began to reshape the nickel's look, giving these rare coins an added historical weight. They mark the end of an era, a closing chapter in the story of a coin that had remained largely unchanged for over 6 decades. For those who take the time to look closely, these coins serve as reminders of how even the most routine production processes can produce unexpected treasures. Every small imperfection tells a bigger story, of craftsmanship, of chance, and of discovery. Whether tucked away in a coin roll or sitting unnoticed in a cash drawer, these rare pieces are still out there, waiting to surprise someone who pays attention. So the next time you handle a handful of nickels, take a closer look at that 1999 Jefferson. Study the lettering, the date, and the edges. Look for any doubling or shifting in the design. You never know, your next 5-cent coin could be the very same type that once sold for over $128,500. It's an extraordinary reminder that sometimes, hidden within the most ordinary things, lies something truly rare and valuable, just waiting for the right pair of eyes to find it.
The 1990 Jefferson Nickel might look like any other coin resting at the bottom of a change jar, but for collectors and enthusiasts, it represents one of the most fascinating tales of modern US coinage. This small 5-cent piece, bearing the face of America's third president, Thomas Jefferson, hides secrets that only a trained eye can uncover. And for those who are lucky enough to stumble upon one of its rare mint errors, the reward could be life-changing. Some of these error coins have fetched staggering sums, ranging from $53,500 to as high as $132,900, depending on the type of error and the coin's condition. The Jefferson Nickel series began in 1938, replacing the Buffalo Nickel. Designed by Felix Schlag, the obverse features the profile of Thomas Jefferson, while the reverse displays his home, Monticello, with its classical dome and elegant architecture. Over the decades, this design has become one of the most recognizable images in US coinage. By 1990, the mint had produced billions of these coins, but in that massive production process, a few slipped through with flaws that turned them from simple currency into collector's treasures. Coin errors are not accidents to be dismissed, they are the stories of moments when something went unpredictably wrong inside the mint. Sometimes a blank planchet was fed incorrectly, a die cracked under pressure, or the machinery struck the coin twice. Each of these mistakes can result in a unique coin that tells its own story. For the 1990 Jefferson Nickel, these errors have included off-center strikes, double strikes, die cracks, missing layers, and even wrong planchet errors. Each one makes a coin stand apart from the millions of ordinary examples that left the mint that year. Imagine holding a 1990 nickel and noticing something slightly off, the words "In God We Trust" look doubled, or the portrait of Jefferson appears shadowed. Maybe the rim looks stretched or part of Monticello is missing. That's the moment collectors dream of, the moment when you realize you might be looking at a valuable mint error coin rather than just another nickel point. One of the most famous 1990 nickel errors involves double die strikes, where the image on the coin appears duplicated. The doubling can be subtle or dramatic, depending on how the die shifted between strikes. In some cases, Jefferson's profile shows faint outlines along his jaw or neck, while in others, the inscriptions look almost like they've been written twice. These are the kinds of details that can send the value of a coin skyrocketing. Another highly sought-after error from that year is the off-center strike. When the coin is not properly aligned during the striking process, the image appears shifted, with part of the design missing. The more dramatic the off-center error, the more valuable the coin becomes, especially if both the date and the main design are still visible. Some collectors are drawn to the symmetry of a slight miss-strike, while others chase the extreme versions, where half of the coin is blank. Then there are broad strikes, where the coin expands beyond its intended size because it wasn't properly held in place by the collar during striking. This gives the coin a stretched, flattened look. It's an odd sight but an exciting one for anyone who knows what they're looking at. And perhaps the most dramatic of all are wrong planchet errors, when a coin is struck on metal meant for a different denomination. Imagine finding a 1990 Jefferson nickel struck on a penny planchet. It would be thinner, lighter, and have a copper hue instead of the usual nickel color. These are the kinds of discoveries that grab headlines in the coin collecting world, but what truly drives the value of these coins is their rarity and condition. A well-preserved 1990 Jefferson nickel with a significant mint error can be a real showstopper at auctions. Collectors are willing to pay premium prices for coins that are both rare and visually striking. Some of these coins, depending on the type of error and their grading, have sold for between $53,500 and $132,900. That's the kind of number that can turn an ordinary pocket find into an incredible financial surprise. Grading plays a major role in determining the final value. Coins are examined and rated by professional organizations like the Professional Coin Grading Service, PCGS, or the Numismatic Guarantee Company, NGC. They evaluate every aspect of the coin, the sharpness of its details, the brightness of its luster, and the presence or absence of wear. A 1990 nickel with a bold, clear error in mint state condition can easily fetch tens of thousands more than one that's been circulated and worn down. Collectors who specialize in Jefferson nickels know that these 1990 error coins occupy a special place in the series. The year 1990 was part of an era when the mint had already improved its technology significantly, which made errors less common than in earlier decades. So when mistakes did happen, they stood out. This scarcity adds an extra layer of desirability to each coin, pushing their prices even higher on the collector's market. Stories from lucky finders have only fueled the fascination. There are people who have discovered rare 1990 Jefferson nickel errors in change from grocery stores or coin rolls purchased at banks. Others have inherited old coin jars from relatives and found hidden gems that turned out to be worth thousands. It's a reminder that these treasures often lie hidden in the most ordinary places, waiting for someone curious enough to notice them. The thrill of coin collecting often lies in the hunt. There is something addictive about scanning through rows of coins, knowing that at any moment you might spot a detail that don't belong, a doubled word, a missing edge, a faint outline where there shouldn't be one. The 1990 nickel captures that excitement perfectly. It's a modern coin, easy to overlook, yet capable of delivering an extraordinary surprise, even for those who never find one of these errors. The story of the 1990 Jefferson nickel teaches an important lesson about value and perception. We handle coins every day without thinking about the craftsmanship, precision, and history behind them. Yet every coin is the result of countless small decisions, designs, and mechanical processes that can, every once in a while, go wrong in the most fascinating ways. Those imperfections remind us that even in systems designed for perfection, beauty can be found in the mistakes. Collectors often say that error coins are like fingerprints, no two are exactly alike. Each one has its own pattern, its own quirks, and its own tale. And that's what gives the 1990 Jefferson Nickel errors their enduring charm. Daily snapshots of imperfection captured in metal, carrying within them a moment of human and mechanical unpredictability frozen forever. As years pass, these coins only become more valuable. Many of the most famous examples are already locked away in private collections, rarely seen in public. But the idea that one could still be out there, waiting to be discovered, keeps collectors searching. It's the kind of mystery that keeps the world of numismatics alive and exciting. The next time you handle a handful of nickels, take a closer look. The Jefferson nickel design is familiar, but familiarity can make us overlook the details. Pay attention to the inscriptions, to the alignment of the lettering, to Jefferson's portrait. Look for doubling, misalignment, or an unusual texture on the surface. You never know, one of those nickels might just be a hidden gem, worth far more than its face value. It's incredible to think that a 5-cent coin could be worth as much as $132,900. But that's the magic of rare mint errors. They turn ordinary into extraordinary, transforming small moments of imperfection into stories of fascination and fortune. The 1990 Jefferson Nickel error coins are reminders that even something as common as pocket change can hold a secret worth discovering, and that sometimes, the smallest details can lead to the biggest surprises.